The Sun Belt Championship between App State and Troy. Troy will host this game 4 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. App State's it could rain here. Keep an eye on the forecast. It could be a lot of rain. First thing I'll note, this game, it's a home game for Troy. Home field in the Sun Belt, worthless. Always overvalued. Home teams in league play since 2005 in the Sun Belt, 43% against the spread. Worst return on investment by any league, even the MAC. The home field is like, I think over the past 15 years, if you price it out, it's like 1.1 points. There's almost no home field advantage. So I always like to look at road teams in the Sun Belt. I love App State here. The App State defense, good cornerbacks. They got EJ Jackson back in the slot in week 9. He's been great. And they got Richmond Thomas and Clark got out of there, who are awful. You can run all over App State. You know, their pass D's really good due to Johnson and Funderburk at corner. With some decent favors at safeties, good in coverage. But all their D-backs are undersized. Their defensive line is undersized. So they're not great against the run. You know, they have a couple guys who can get pressure off the edge, and Johnson and Fletcher, but their run D's bad, although it's improved a little bit of late. It was poverty level. And Montez Kelly playing more nose tackles helped a bit. This defense is just, in general, improved overall. Allowed 18.2 points per game the past 4 against all bowl teams. They allowed 28.8 in their first 7 games against FBS teams. That's an improvement of over 10 points per game against FBS competition. They're still fourth worst in line yards. But here's the thing. This is a great matchup for App State. Troy can't really run it. Vidal's a good runner, but the offensive line can't run block, and you have a quarterback who never runs it. Probably the worst running quarterback in the country. So this is a really good matchup. Troy EPA per run on offense, 120th. App State D, 127th. Troy EPA per pass, 54th. App State D, 46th. Ideal matchup for App State, who's rolling. They've also had 4 losses by a touchdown or less, 3, 6, and 7. They're not afraid of this stage. Like, this is a team that should have won at Wyoming. They should have won at North Carolina. They went on the road and beat JMU, undefeated JMU. In Sun Belt play, App State, their last 4 times that they've been an underdog on the road, they won all 4 outright, and they were double-digit underdogs in each. The App State offense, Noel probably, I don't think, is playing. Aguilar's been very good. He's kind of a gunslinger. It's a deep wide receiver room. They lost 2 stud tackles in Hodges and Hardy. Having a little bit of trouble replacing them. It's a little bit worried about that against the Troy defense. The Troy defense is really good. Solid secondary. They can get pressure. But I just think this is closer to, these 2 teams are pretty close to even based on the surge that we've seen from App State. And the Troy defense, I think, is a little worse than some people think. From after last year, they lost a couple important pieces. Still really good. Still one of the best group of 5 defenses. But they've also played 4 backup quarterbacks. And I think this is just a good matchup on paper because Troy's not great at running the ball. And you don't want to bet App State against an elite rushing offense. That's not the case here. I love App State. +6 right now. I think they win this game. What do you think?
100% agreement. I mean, I have been tapped into this App State team all year. I showed up on BBOC Live on Saturdays, once with a ULM bet and once with a Southern Miss bet, both cashing because they were going up against App State. Really hit a lull in the middle of the schedule, just could not defend the rush whatsoever. You're right. It has gotten a little bit better now, but now they're hot. 5 straight wins, 4 straight covers against bowl teams, including James Madison. And when they went up against James Madison, they dominated in scoring opportunities. Quarterback Joey Aguilar had 9 passes over 15 yards. I mean, this was not the same team that was around 6 weeks ago. At Georgia Southern last week, 192 hidden yards. They're getting it done in special teams too. They averaged 10.8 yards in passing downs and more than 2 overall yards per play better than Georgia Southern. For those of you not keeping up with box scores, that's an ass whipping. So since week 7 against Coastal, Aguilar is 21-4, TD to INT, but he did have massive mistakes against Old Dominion and Southern Miss, like I said. So,
he's a bit of a gunslinger.
He is. And I went deep into like, what is it? Did Old Dominion and did they show something that really got him, or Southern Miss? They both run quarters, cover 3, cover 1. And really what I found out is it was man. Southern Miss runs 42% of man coverage. Old Dominion ran a whole bunch of man. They're about 30% on the year, but they ran man coverage against Aguilar and App State. And they had a lot of success with it. Turnover to Troy, they never play man coverage.
No, man. Yeah.
73% in zone. Most of that is cover 3, a little bit of quarters. That's not going to turn the ball over. And you're right. Aguilar he's a gunslinger, and man coverage has burned him, but he's not going to see that here. So that's one reason why I like them. Now, Troy's D is 68th in explosives allowed and passing downs. App State is 27th in creating them. So I have full confidence that App State is going to score the points that they need on offense to make this a game. Now, Troy.
By the way, you say that you mentioned that Troy secondary, some really good players. Stewart and Fletcher. Ransall came over to the slot. Pettis, Davis, the transfer from Alabama State. They're really good players, but smaller. They're undersized, and App State has a ton of size at the pass catcher position.
Yeah,
another way where they can create explosives.
Well, when you flip to the other side of the ball, you try to make a case for Troy. It's hard. Some of these offensive numbers they don't look good. But the one that I keyed in on is App State's 22nd in creating havoc. That all comes from tackles for loss and pass breakups. They're top 30 in both. Troy is 68th in tackles for loss allowed. They rank 103rd and how often a rushing attempt is met at the line of scrimmage, hit at the line of scrimmage. They're 103rd. So I expect App State to have anywhere between 6 to 10 tackles for loss in this game. Give me App State here. I'll take the points all day. Love it.
Yep. Full agreement. Look, this is a team, you look at their record, and I love playing teams that get to the conference championship on an ascent like this. I think App State's still a little undervalued in the market, but they lost to Wyoming on flukes. Complete flukes. Could have won at Wyoming. Not an easy place to win in Laradice. They went to overtime at North Carolina, and they won at JMU. This team will not be afraid on the road.
No.
In Troy.